Morning everybody, it's Rob, Yoga Dad. Hope you're feeling well this morning. A little bit more overcast in Bristol today. That's my daily weather forecast over. And really pleased, delighted actually, that you're sparing 15 minutes out of your day to join me for this morning stretch. Now the theme this week is courage. We've been going through sequences, morning stretches each day that focus on different ways we can demonstrate courage in our lives and really understand more about those kind of worries, anxieties, fears that we may experience that all come quite naturally, and how we can kind of better control and manage those emotions in a way that's really positive for us. Now today, we're going to focus on the breath. And the breath is a fantastic way of really focusing on something that happens automatically within the body and really shift our perspective away from the things that may well not necessarily serve us at that moment in time when we're really needing to be brave or courageous in a particular situation. Now, I'm taking inspiration for today from this book. It's been sitting alongside me over the last 3 weeks as we've been doing the classes, and it's an awesome book. It's a bedtime story that I read for the boys sometimes, and it's Frog's Breathtaking Speech, and it's written by Chissick. Okay, so now the story for this one is that Frog is delivering an important speech, and he's feeling very, very, very scared. And he's sitting on the river edge, and he's got different friends coming along and giving him ideas and techniques, tools in which he can use to breathe in different ways to help him feel calm, to reduce his stress, and enable him to deliver that speech to his frog school friends successfully. So we're going to join him on that adventure. We're going to go through a short sequence, and then we're going to take a breath, and then a bit more of the sequence, and then another breath, and then we'll wrap up with a final sequence before the final breath, and then as we close out, I'll tell you how it goes at the end in terms of his speech. Okay, so let's get started. So let's find ourselves a comfortable seat. Now I'm sitting down on the floor cross-legged, comfortable cross-legged position this morning. You could as easily use the IKEA stool that I've actually got in the room this morning, you know, that kind of thing as a comfortable seat, or a firm pillow cushion as well, just to provide that bit of extra support if you really feel as though it's uncomfortable across the hips and that the spine is rounding back. Okay, so closing the eyes just for a moment. And just bringing yourself into that space, imagining you're in this story with Frog this morning and getting ready to deliver that speech. And just taking a moment just to tune into the breath and how that feels this morning. Whether the breath is short and shallow, centered around the chest, or that bit longer, maybe all the way down towards the belly. And the way you can then lengthen and deepen the breath to create some more space for the body and invite calm into the mind and enable us to be courageous in whatever situation confronts us on a given day. Now let's open our eyes, nice soft gaze. Let's just start with some hip rotations. So we're going to rotate around in one direction. And again, if you're doing this on a seat rather than on the floor, then just taking the knees that little bit wider than the hips, just to create that space between the inner thighs. And just really feeling that length now all the way along the spine in one direction. And then we do the same in the opposite direction. Really pressing down through the palms over the knees. And really feeling as though you're rocking around forward and back, side to side on the sitting bones. Okay. Now let's take our arms up and overhead, shoulders away from the ears, and exhaling we're going to fold forward and just allowing our hands just to land down on the floor in a position that feels good to you. I'll just turn myself around to the side for a moment. Just so you can see, I'm just walking my hands out. I'm still making sure that I'm maintaining that length along the spine, keeping space across the chest and the shoulders, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. I'm just closing the eyes for a moment and just really feeling it sinking down across that lower body, across the hips, with the upper body weight. I really feel as though we're now breathing into the back body, creating space along the length of the spine. Now walking the hands back in towards the shins, and we'll just take a lateral stretch on either side. So just from side to side, we'll take one hand down to the side, lifting the opposite arm up. Inhaling as we do so, really reaching those fingers up and folding across to one side. Really creating some space now along the side body. Lifting that top shoulder up just to maintain the space across the chest, and then to the other side. And again, really feel as though you're grinding down through that opposite hip and feeling that length all the way along from the fingertips down towards the opposite side of the body. Now back to centre. Now let's take ourselves into Frog's story. So he's sitting on the river edge and he meets his friend Crocodile. And Crocodile comes along. And basically, as you'd imagine with a crocodile, he's got a great way to breathe. And he likes to breathe in and out through the nose. Here's Crocodile. Okay. So Crocodile's there. And so let's do that with him. So let's take our palms now across our belly, closing our eyes again. Just taking a breath in and out. And then next time you breathe in, just really feel as though you can lengthen the breath all the way in. Fill in the lungs as you do so, fill in the palms. And as you breathe out, really feel as though you're emptying the palms out and allowing every last bit of that breath just to leave the body. We'll do that a couple more times. And as Crocodile says in the story, this is a great way, through controlled, slow breathing, to really help us feel calm in body and mind. Nice soft gaze, opening the eyes again. And so Crocodile turns around and says he's very proud of this breath. He loves the breath. You know what he calls it? He calls it the crocodile breath. Unsurprisingly. Frog notes that down. Says goodbye to Crocodile and he slinks away, slides away into the river. Okay, so let's move on. So we're going to now move ourselves into an all fours position. So for those of you who've joined me over the last few classes, hands hold out to shoulder distance apart, hips above the knees, pressing down through the palms, inhaling to lift up, crown of the head up, gaze up towards the ceiling, arching the spine, tailbone, also pointing up. Exhaling, chin to chest, rounding the spine, tailbone, tucking under. Do that a couple of times. Inhaling, look up. And back down. Really feel as though we're creating space now across the chest. All the way along the front body, down towards the hips. And easing any tension along the spine. Head back to a neutral position again. And we're going to take ourselves back this time. And I'll turn myself around to the front actually. So I'm going to go down onto a kneeling position here. I've got the toes tucked under. I've got my knees separated away. You could as easily do this on the chair, that IKEA stool, that kind of thing, or a firm cushion if it feels better to you. So we're back with Frog on his adventure. He's sitting on the river edge, and who should come along but Lion, his great friend Lion. Now Lion has a fantastic way of breathing. And it's all about breathing in through the nose again, breathing out through the mouth this time, and when we breathe out through the mouth, we let out a roar. And so when we roar, we're going to do that 3 times, and each time we're going to make it that little bit louder and see how that feels. So let's get our back nice and long, open up our chest, lifting it up, head straight, eyes looking up towards the ceiling, and relax our jaw down, okay? And as we take our arms now out to the side, we're going to inhale through the nose. And as we exhale, we're going to stick our tongue out down towards our chin and let out a quiet roar. Almost imagine we're a really quiet line. Ah! We're going to do that twice more, and each time it's going to be that little bit louder. Ah! Last one, the loudest of all. Ah! Now that's a great breath. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling amazing after that. Great way of relaxing the jaw, but also enabling us to find our voice if we're really struggling, you know, like Frog with that big speech that he's got coming up. So Frog takes a note of the breath, and Lion tells him that this is a breath that's called the Lion breath. So Frog takes a note of it, says goodbye to Lion, and Lion pads away into the long grass. Okay, so let's move on again. So from our all fours position now, we're going to take our hands that little bit further forward. We're going to take our hips back towards our heels, press down through the balls of the feet, lifting our upper body forward, and then lifting our knees up, lifting our bum, hips up towards the ceiling. And then keeping our knees bent, we're into our downward dog position. Now we're going to pad out one heel, almost imagine we're like lying in that long grass. And as we do so, we're going to really feel that length now all the way along the back of the legs, but also pressing down through the palms, that length all the way along the upper body, down towards the hips. Now let's take our knees back down towards the floor, taking our hips back towards the heels, and just for a moment, we're going to take 1 foot forward, okay? So we're going to arrive into a low lunge position. I'll just take myself back so hopefully you can see the top of my head. Okay, we keep our knee above the ankle, and we're just going to take our hands onto that front knee, lifting our upper body up towards the ceiling, and really feeling that we're opening across the hips, and that length now along the inside of that back leg. Now toes tucked or untucked on the back leg, option to take the arms out in front, and then taking the arms up and overhead, and really feeling that length now all the way along the side body, creating space for the breath. Hands back across the knees again, hands down to the floor, framing that front foot, right foot back, hips back towards the heels, bum back towards the heels. We'll take our left foot forward. Again, I'll just try and get myself in a position so you can see me on the camera. Again, left knee above the left ankle, toes tucked or untucked on the back leg. Really feel as though the hips are sinking forward and down across that front thigh, that front leg, arms out in front, palms facing one another, option to lift the arms up and overhead. And as you do so, really feel that length all the way from the top of the fingers towards the ceiling, as the hips sink down towards the floor. Shoulders nice and relaxed away from the ears. Hands back down either side of that front foot, taking the left foot back towards the right, hips back towards the heels, and we'll bring ourselves back down to the front again. Now I'm taking myself back into a comfortable cross-legged position. Obviously you could use a seat, firm cushion, that kind of thing that works for you. And we're back with Frog on the river edge. And who should come along? His last friend today is Hummingbee. Now Hummingbee has got a fantastic way of breathing. And for him, it's about breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose, breathing out through the mouth, but when he closes the mouth, he then hums. So we'll just have a quick go at that. You know, that kind of noise, okay? And you can place your hands across your ears as well, really to make this that little bit longer and louder. Now, for any time when you're doing this breath, you find that you're running out of breath, just take another breath in and start again as you breathe out, hum and get out. So we'll try that 3 times. Feel free to keep the eyes open or closed as we do so. I'm going to close my eyes for this one. Breathe in a nice big breath, fill in the lungs, and as we breathe out, 2 more. One more. And there we are. And if you close your eyes, just nicely open the eyes again, nice soft gaze. And so Hummingbee turns round to Frog and says, this is a great way to breathe. It's not only fun to do, but also helps if we've got headaches, you know, stress headaches, that kind of thing, if we're delivering an important speech. And it's a great way, again, just to focus things away from maybe the fears, the worries, the anxieties we're experiencing. And Hummingbee calls that, as you'd expect, Hummingbee breath. So Frog takes a note of it and the bee buzzes off into the poppy fields. So we bring ourselves towards the end of the story now, bringing our hands across the knees and closing our eyes again. And again, if you need it, sit on a seat, stool, on a firm pillow cushion, and just bring yourself back into the space. Now I'm just going to read the last couple of pages of the story to you as you're sitting there in your final resting position. And so Frog's there. He's in the hall. You can see 300 frog faces looking back at him. As you can imagine, he felt more than nervous. He felt more than anxious. He felt more than worried. He was so scared you could almost not imagine. And he thought about which breath should he do. Should he go for the lion breath? Should he go for the crocodile breath? Or should he go for the hummingbee breath? So which one would you go for? Now Frog decides, I'm going to choose the crocodile breath. And so with that, he sat there outside of the hall for 5 minutes, carefully breathing in and out of his nose. And when at last he felt calm enough, he strode into the hall confidently, and the place fell silent. Cleared his throat, began his speech, and all that anxiety disappeared. And he felt brave enough to look at his audience, and only needed to glance at his notes a couple of times. The hall was absolutely silent. You could have heard a pin drop. And except, of course, for Frog's voice. The end of his speech, explosion of clapping around the room. Everybody was absolutely delighted with Frog's speech. And his teacher turned around to him and said, "You have made a wonderful speech today, Frog. We could hear every word. It was enjoyable, interesting, and you told us amazing things about breathing that will help us all have better lives. It is an honour to present you with this certificate." And that is the end of the story. And that is the end of today's morning stretch. I hope you've really enjoyed this. I certainly have. I was up at 5 a.m. planning this session today. It's a fantastic story written by Michael Chissick. Great for bedtimes with your children, that type of thing, or just for adults, and just thinking about the different techniques that we can adopt to help us deal with worries, tension, anxiety, stress, whenever we've got a big event coming up. Hope you enjoy. Have a fantastic day and see you soon. Namaste.